So we were driving to the Red Power Roundup yesterday. We're on the way home right now. Kelly texted me yesterday, said, hey, there's a place in Sanborn, Iowa that you may want to stop at. Yesterday's Memories Truck Museum. There's all kinds of old vehicles and stuff in here. We're going to go in and check it out. Well, we met the tour guide. He brought us down through to the rear of the place. 7 buildings, 140,000 square feet of old trucks and other miscellaneous stuff. Here's where we start. Got some old cars and limos out here in the back. Got an old snowcat looking thing back there in the back. Ramona likes this little snowmobile with the snowmobile trailer.
It's my perfect size.
Yep.
I'm just too little for it.
That's some old tractors as well that we saw plenty of today. And there's a second story with all farm equipment and stuff up top. But my legs are toast, so we may not go upstairs since we've got 7 buildings to cover. See the skids on this, Ramona? This was a wagon you could pull in the snow.
Oh, wow.
You pull it with horses through the snow. Here's an old jail if you have naughty kids. Some old Olivers, old Case tractors. Neat old crawler here, wide track. Oliver Cleat Track HG. That's super cool. That would be fun to have. Theme and Harvester Company. Old panel truck. Worthington. Here's a cub over here, Ramona. And there's a flare box wagon, quite a bit older model than what we have. Here's that cute little snowcat of a 1968 Bombardier J5. Here's a little Nash Rambler. They were cute little cars. Boy, it sounds like a waterfall outside. Glad we're not driving through that. Here's a neat old Trans Am. Looks like they won some awards with it. There's an old Oliver ride-on planter there, and some horse-drawn sickle mowers, manure spreaders, an old thresher. Couple old threshing machines. And going into the next building. Ramona went upstairs to look at some stuff up there. A lot of cool old fire trucks in here and some old Holland trucks. Wow, it is really coming down outside. This is an insulated shop. To hear it that loud, it's got to be really coming down. Neat old trucks. There's a pretty one. A lot of people used to take their grain to town and box dump trucks like this. This appears to be, I don't know if it's a manure spreader or just like an old gravity wagon on wheels. Ooh, look at that international travel all up there, pretty. Old military rigs. Got a siren, old time siren here on the outside. Old military haul truck there. Cab over. Some Jeeps. The deuce and a half back there in the back. Love, love, love this Dodge right here. That is the coolest thing ever right there. Next building, they got vehicles. Another line of them upstairs. And a lot of old trucks in here. These old GM's cab over, the original cab over. Check this one out. There's a Ford cab over. GMC cab over. Some old Chevy pickups. There's an American LaFrance fire truck.
Can I go upstairs and look?
Yeah, go fast. Here's an old Diamond T tow truck. See what kind of boom system they have on the back here. It's all manual, hand crank. There's some of the trucks upstairs. Ramona's gonna go check those out. Got some old diesel engines down here, Detroit. This engine here's got everything to run on a little cart. Little oiling wagon here, some old gas pumps. These are old bulk oil things you used to keep in your barn. You'd get oil delivered and then you could pump oil into a little can to put in your tractors. Back then the vehicles used so much oil you needed that much. This 41 Chevy 1.5 ton apparently has won lots of awards. Ooh, another big wave of rain or hail or something. Some old potbelly stoves. Some Freightliner grills. This old Mack cab over here. Looks like a cross between a conventional and a cab over. Pretty old truck. Old oil well pump or gas well pump, one of the two. All the old gas cans, cream cans, oil cans. Old boat motors. Sheldon Fire Company ladder truck. The lineup of some neat old rigs here. Studebaker, the blue one here. 2-ton Studebaker truck. Look at this old Chevrolet 5100 tow truck. Super neat. That'd be fun to drive around town. Another Ford. Here's the old green 1948 Ford 1-ton. Right after the only color you could get in was black. Old Dodge Brothers truck. International. Here's an old school wagon. Another Ford cab over. International cab over box truck. Fire engine. Bunch more old motors. Gas and diesel. And into the next room. An old Dodge is USMC Big Red. It's a Garford. I've never heard of that. 1918 Garford. Some beautiful old pickups in here. Look at all the old tractor seats up on the wall. Got every tractor seat you can imagine.
And implement seats.
An old Krebs. 1922 Krebs. An all-American. I love this fluted radiator there to help dissipate the heat. The white Freightliner truck here, somebody turned into a pickup. I thought this was a real dude working over here for a second. Here's another Freightliner truck, somebody turned into a giant pickup. Even smells like old vehicles in here. Lots of old signage. And then we have a room here that's all fire trucks. Look at all these babies. Be interesting to see if they have any Van Pelt fire engines in here, because they were built in Oakdale, California, back near where we're from. They built a lot of fire trucks back in the day. Every kind of make and model you can imagine, they made fire trucks out of. Here's a Ford with a front mount pump. It would drive right off the crankshaft of the pickup. Truck number 5150. That's cool. Wonder if that came later. Dodge Another front mount pump here. Used to have to bring the hose and everything around the front. And it had a water pipe that went to the tank in the back. These old cabs like this, they were regular trucks, and they would build this extension on the back to seat firefighters back there in the back. We did a few of these trucks while I was building fire trucks. Yellow. Fire trucks aren't supposed to be yellow. Look at this cool one. I love the body lines of this one. Little water tender. Another water tender. There's a FWD. I guess the make of this truck is an FWD, which doubles as a meaning because it's also four-wheel drive. Called a tractioneer back in the day when they needed four-wheel drive fire trucks. Pulaski Fire Department. There was a firefighter tool named Pulaski. Wondered if it has anything to do with that name. It was a combination axe and hoe all in one that they used for wildland firefighting. It's called a Pulaski. Rembrandt Fire Department. Carpenter Fire Department. There's an old Sanborn rig. Now you see this one says Farmers Mutual Insurance Association. And there was always a question, what came first, the fire department or fire insurance? Fire insurance came first, and your first fire departments were fire insurance companies that started fire departments to protect their investments in the houses they insured. And there used to be placards on the house, and those old placards are collectible now. So if they came to a fire and you didn't have that placard on your house for the fire insurance company, they would leave and wouldn't put the fire out because they only covered the houses that they insured. Here's some old soda acid fire extinguishers. They would put soda acid in these deals, and then you would turn a deal on the top and it would mix the two and create pressure, and you could spray with the hose. Got some old pinball machines and some old signage, some jukeboxes, some drink coolers. This is a chair made out of aluminum tank company. Must have been like a showpiece in their business. Another jukebox. Old visible gas pump. This is what your gas pumps used to be right here. They were gravity feed, and you had a pump arm down here. You would pump the gas to the desired gallons, and then you would take your hose and it would gravity flow out of this into your vehicle here, but you would pump it up to whatever gallons you wanted. This is the main room when you walk in. It looks like they have events here on occasion. So we'll take a stroll through here. He said there's more stuff upstairs up top. Here's an REO, which was a vehicle manufacturer. And they made a model, this is not it, but they made a model called a Speedwagon. So if you were a fan of REO Speedwagon back in the 80s, that's where they got their name from. The Maxwell 1912 Ford Model T. What do you got here, Ramona? It's a horse. Yeah. Another old gas pump. Lots of knickknacks back there. We've got some visible pump glass domes. Those would go up on top of the pump, depending on what brand of gas you had. You would have the glass dome, usually had a light in it, up on top of your visible pump. Sometimes even on the electric pumps they had those on there. Old Ford cab over tow truck. There's an old electric pump with a glass dome on it there, Phillips 66. Model T, Packard Coupe. Ooh, look at this old Chevy stepside. That guy kind of looks like Yoda. He's a gas station guy, apparently. Look at this old C10 stepside. I wouldn't have chosen those rims, but that's a pretty truck. The old Yellowstone transportation wagon. Old Dodge. Look like a cross between a van and a pickup. I used to call those worm wagons because they look like a worm to me going down the road. Here's the Chevy version of the worm wagon. There's a Dodge worm wagon. Arm Ledger truck. International down there on the end. Another Studebaker dump truck. Some old Fords. Nice old GMC. The REO. Hawkeye. Ford Model T. And International Harvester High Wheeler. Big tall wheels. Here's a McCormick Deering pickup upstairs. And then Ramona wants me to show me this room in here. Lots of toys and pedal cars. Wow, look at this place.
Can you see it?
Old fire helmets. Boy, this guy like collects everything. Look at these old wooden toys. They're made by somebody. Super detailed.
It even has fruit and trees over here.
Oh, there's like a little play farm, huh?
Mm-hmm. See, it has all of the stuff. It has a person, is the farm.
It's a miniature farm, complete with vegetables and trees. Got a shelter belt.
If this was mine, I would
Got
play
chickens.
with it every day.
You would play with it every day?
Yes.
It is pretty cool for sure. Boy, just aisles and aisles of collectibles up here. They're all behind glass. I could imagine dusting all of this would be a chore, so they made glass cabinets for all of this stuff. Matt's downstairs talking to the owner of the place, looking at his pride and joy. An old car. That's his favorite piece in this collection. We'll show it to you on the way out.
He has a little fish that actually speaks. Did you know that?
Little what?
A little fish that actually speaks.
Yeah. I've never seen these type of signs, but there's a whole bunch of them here. I wonder what those went on. Maybe shelving for kind of like this for the shelving. Just to say what was on the shelf, apparently. But more and more. Doesn't look like it's all the way completed. They're still building stuff in here. All kinds of old furniture.
Oh, another exit.
This is an old scythe that had the grain cradle attached to it. So when you would cut the grain, it would lay it all on here perfectly. And then you could lay it out in a good bundle on the ground. There's an old Wells Fargo strong box down there. So this machine here is an old treadmill that you would use to power things back in the day. You would put a goat or a sheep on here and they would walk on this treadmill. Usually they'd put some feed or something up here in the top. And then as they walked, it would turn this flywheel. So like right here, they got it hooked to a washing machine. So the animal provided the power for whatever machine you were running. Here's an old shoe shine bench from the 20s, early 1900s. Coffee grinders. Old switchboard. Used to pick up your phone and talk to the lady at the switchboard, and a little light would come on down here, and then she would plug you in to whoever you wanted to talk to in the neighborhood. She would plug you into that line. Some old bells, candy machines, you name it, this place has it. Here's the old postage stamp machines that you could get postage stamps out of.
You want to go back downstairs? I'm going to go back.
Yep, I'll meet you down there. Some old school desks. Cigar machines. Here's an old computer server. The size of this machine, there used to be rooms full of these, and there's probably 100 times more computing power in the phone that I'm filming this with than this giant machine had. There's some old Civil War cannonballs. Got some old guns and stuff. Old roller skates. Just unbelievable amount of stuff. An old peanut roaster down here. This is an early refrigerator ice box. So you would put big blocks of ice in there, and they were all insulated. That's how you kept stuff cold. They would bring big blocks of ice into town. You'd go buy ice, and this is what you kept everything cool in right there. Believe me when I say we're just scratching the surface of this place in this video. There's so much more to see. They've got an old bank teller booth here, all set up. Old post office booth. This was from Sanborn, this town right here, where you'd come get your mail. All the box fronts are gone. Either that or they just had glass and you could just look and then the teller would get your mail for you. That's probably how it worked. And then got an old barber shop up here. Old hot water kettle bathtub. Got a soda fountain here, complete with the milkshake machines and the tabletop jukeboxes. I remember these old banana split boats. This is what an old room used to look like back in the 1800s. It's the way people dressed. Everybody dressed a lot nicer back in the day. And then like an old kitchen setup. And that was like one of the first electric refrigerators right there. Had the reefer unit up on top. And it's called a Hoosier cabinet. It's got a flour bin and everything underneath. You could make bread right on that table there. Old wood burning stove. A lot of people use corn cobs. They'd save all their corn cobs to burn in the stove. There's an early dry sink right there. And then a kerosene stove. Rona, you see these old high wheel bikes? That's a bicycle. That's how they ride it. They had the big giant wheel. And a little tiny wheel in the back. What do you think about that? Here's an old microfiche machine. If you ever use microfiche, it's little tiny plastic cards that had little pictures of little itty tiny documents, and this would zoom it in. You could put a few hundred documents on one sheet. Some old library card machines. Whole another room up here. Candy machines. Some old signage.
Another room.
Yep, this room just opened up into a lot bigger room, huh? Lots of old tools.
I'm gonna go get Kathy.
Alright. Look at these little cars. Little race cars. Yeah, they were go-karts. This one's got a gas. They've got gas like Briggs & Stratton engines in them. They're go-karts with fiberglass frames. Oh, here's one of those old electric cars. I remember some of these had the whole front of them lifted up to get inside of them. But this one's made, let's see here, commuter vehicles. Got everything about them here. Some old radiators and stuff back here. Old oil cans. Old Coca-Cola coolers. Some oil dispensers. You just put the whole oil drum in there and the pump would go in there. Some old bicycles. Here's an old scroll saw, pedal-driven scroll saw. And there's a pedal-driven lathe. That's super neat. Bunch of old air pumps. This one here had a double pump. You'd move that stick back and forth and it pumped in both directions. Some old jacks, screw jacks. Some old oil cans. And the original old oil can display. There's an old vacuum.
There's a whole nother room.
Dutch people wear these wooden shoes, Ramona. They carve them out of wood.
These aren't shoes.
Yeah, they call them clogs, I think.
No.
Those are shoes.
No.
Some old post vise.
Look at these huge scissors.
Yep, those are fake scissors. Another old jukebox. This is really old. Look at these old monster chainsaws up here. Old chainsaws. This one's so big it's got a handle out on the end. So we got some old 8-track players and other vehicle gizmos, lights, spotlights. Another aisle here of collectibles, old steering wheels and horns. And then a whole nother room of stuff. Old-time garage blacksmith shop set up. Some old testing equipment. It's like it's kind of an old riveting machine or something. An old Worthy Washington potbelly stove. Some buzzsaw blades. The belt drive air compressor. Now you can see the old pulley style. They used to run these pulleys all through the shop, and then you'd have a belt running all your equipment. Like this grinder here, and everything ran on a belt. A lot of them were on water wheels. If there was an old water wheel next to a creek, it would run all of this. But this is run by a big old electric motor. An old band saw. Well, it's not a band, but saw would go back and forth. Okay, we'll see. We'll catch up. Here's one of those old sharpening grinding wheels that we reconditioned for my buddy Dave, if you remember that project. But there's an old belt-driven trip hammer there. anvils and vices. This looks to be like some kind of shear. Here's an old forge. There's some coal, bucket of coal down there to run in the forge. Neat old stuff. Here's a smaller forge here with a little wheel here to run the blower. Lots of old equipment hanging on the wall, single tree, double tree. These are old seed plates out of a cedar. This is an old forge blower setup with a flywheel. Lots of old tools, some old torches. More old machinery. An old crank drill press. You would turn the handle to spin the drill. Spark plug cleaner and tester. Battery tester. Valve grinder. Some old diagnostic equipment. Remember the old shop that my dad used to take our vehicles to had one of these big old roll around things like that. It's got a timing light on the side. Pretty neat. There's one of the earliest of windmills here. An old wind generator back in the day. Made by Crosley. It's called a wind charger. Some war memorabilia, uniforms. Some old shells. Another old wind generator. Out here in the Midwest, those would work well. It looks like there's a little room for expansion up here. Got a little bit more room for some more stuff. There's like a village set up. Like a Christmas village. Kelly does a little bit of one of these for Christmas, but complete with a train and a road and trucks and tractors, all the different buildings. Pretty complex setup here. Got an amusement park, carnival, and all the old cars in the parking lot. Really neat. Here's some old Tonka trucks. I had a loader like that when I was a kid and a dump truck. I moved a lot of dirt. I don't know how many yards of dirt I moved. My dump truck was probably like that. It wasn't as modern as that one. So I had that and that loader. Lots and lots of dirt moved. We've spent enough time here. I think we need to get back on the road because we got a long way to go. So if I can find my way out of here, we'll get back on the road. There's Matt talking to the owner of the collection. This is his pride and joy right here. This is his favorite piece in this collection. The 1932 Chevy Landau Phaeton. Very rare, I guess. The convertible roadster. But beautiful. What do you got, Miss Ramona?
I got this and I got this.
Yeah, where'd you get those? Yeah? You got treasures? They always say don't take any wooden nickels. Is that a wooden nickel?
Pioneer Museum.
It's a wooden nickel.
Well, I'm glad the torrential downpour is over. Look at that old Texaco gas wagon over there. Well, we had a good visit here with John and his collection, but we need to get back on the road. hope you enjoyed our little brief stop as much as we did. It's good to see all this history and a lot of the old stuff being kept up and taken care of. So we're going to get back on the road, back to the old homestead. We hope you enjoyed yourself. Stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. We'll catch you on a couple projects we'll probably be doing at home. So we'll see you then.
Thanks for watching.